And welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus on this Thursday. We're almost at the weekend, February 19th, and temperatures outside a little chilly in the single digits and teens across the area after a fresh snowfall. And we'll be running down some of the snow totals here in just a bit. I'm Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki, along with our Ag Director Bridgette Readel. And happy Thursday there, Bridgette.
And guest assistant Ag Director today, Haley McLeod. Haley, how's it going?
Good. I'm doing very well.
So returning.
Yes, this is my second time being the Ag Director.
I know you're going to be here a third time in March.
Yes, later in March.
So fill people in who might not remember who you are, where you're from.
Yes, absolutely. I'm Haley McLeod. I'm from Enderlin, North Dakota, but right now I'm going to North Dakota State University studying agricultural education with hopes of becoming a high school ag teacher after I graduate. And I grew up on a large family farm where we grew crops and then also raised cattle, sheep, and pigs.
So because our guest today is going to be the Central Cass Career Innovation Center, we're going to get a tour of that. You as an upcoming ag teacher, this is right up your alley. This is like, where do I want a student teach? Maybe with them, right?
Yes, this is right up my alley. I'm excited. I've never seen the Central Cass Innovation Center, so I'm excited to get a look into that and see what they have to offer.
Well, Haley's journey to get here is probably easier than mine. It took me a full hour to get to Fargo today on icy roads, and I took my time.
It was bad. Yeah. It was, and there's still a lot of icy roads out there. Although, the road crew's doing a great job at treating a lot of some of those secondary roads. Please be careful. I almost slid. You could easily slide into the back of a vehicle once you get to some of these stoplights. So please use extra caution out there today. And we are looking at, that cold weather and icy conditions continuing. Even a few flurries out there, a few snow showers, but little to no additional accumulation. And with temperatures remaining in the teens. And then tonight, a few flurries dropping off to about 9, 10 above, right around there, with a northwest wind about 5 to 15. Then on Friday, more of the same. Cloudy skies, a few flurries, not as bad in the winds, about 10 to 15, mid-teens, and then we'll stay in the mid-teens through the weekend with lows 0 to 5 below. Then we'll start more moderate temperatures next week with temperatures generally in the 20s to near 30 during the week next week, with the chance for some light snow Tuesday and then another system coming in towards the end of next week. So after this last storm, quieter weather as we head into the rest of the weekend. But next week, we'll keep an eye, not so much that Tuesday's system, but the one at the end of the week could pack a little more punch to it. But again, that's over a week away. But some of the snowfall totals were really impressive. Devil's Lake checking in with 14 inches. Leeds, North Dakota, 12 inches. Minnewacan, 10 inches. Let's see, Grand Forks, 9.8. Let's see else here. We've got Valley City at 5 inches. Out in Lakes Country, Otter Tail picking up about 3 inches. Warroad checking in with 3 inches. Gilby checking in with 5 inches. In and around the Moorhead area and Fargo area, we're looking at about 5 inches. There were some isolated reports of 6, but generally 5 inches. So we're still behind on snowfall total for the year, but this definitely put a dent in it. But boy, nothing like they had on the lee of Lake Superior up around Lutsen and Grand Marais. Those areas picked up over 3 feet of snow. Great news for the ski resort for Lutsen up there, and if you're a snowmobiler, but wow, that's a lot.
I got a buddy from Iowa who took his kids snowmobiling up there. They are thrilled. They're going to be very busy.
Beautiful area up there, too.
It is. They do a nice job. Speaking of folks that do a nice job, some of those would include Progressive Ag. They're our risk management specialists. They make sure that you hear the weather here on Weather and Ag in Focus every day. Haley is joining us today. Again, she's our assistant ag director, brought to us by Cass County Farm Bureau. Cass County Farm Bureau, one of their pillars has to do with ag education, and this is a great one. I think they're probably helping support you in a lot more ways besides just being on the radio, Haley.
Yes, absolutely. Farm Bureau has done a lot for me, especially since joining in college. We have a Collegiate Farm Bureau chapter at NDSU, and it's been a lot of fun. I've been able to go to a couple different conferences and even just connecting with peers and making connections with people, farmers who are in the industry right away, right now. That's where I see myself shortly after college, is getting back into the agriculture industry, and the people that are at the forefront are the people who are leading our chapter and our advisors.
back in the industry because everybody wants a paycheck, right?
Yes.
So one of our listeners took advantage of our email inboxes, which are powered by Superior Grain Equipment. So they will bring you and protect your farm's future with Superior Grain Storage, Drying, and Handling Solutions. My email is ag@flagfamily.com. Dean's is weather@flagfamily.com. And the question from a listener is, earlier this week on Tuesday's show, I had mentioned that twine for hay bales can be made from soy hulls for the hull of the soybean. That's a underutilized byproduct from the soybean processing process. And so the question is, when this is available, if cattle who only eat grass and no grains, if they would eat the soy twine, would this affect the taste of the meat? So here's my initial reaction to that. It's such a little amount that it would not. You would not notice that difference in that taste of the meat from a grass-fed animal. Haley?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. I don't know if, since it's only a little bit of twine, I don't think it'd be too big of a deal, but it is such a great invention, that soy hull. It's biodegradable, so it's not just like those orange plastic ones, twine that we are seeing, and maybe they get left in the field, and then they're sitting in your feedlot after you break a bale open for your cattle.
And cows are non-discriminatory eaters. They will eat twine.
That is very true.
They'll eat anything, won't they?
They will eat anything. Is that an Oreo in your hand? So they are okay with doing that. You know, one of the topics that we had to talk about today, because it really is a whole day for cows, you might say, was South Dakota State University had an article about cow prolapses, a real pain in the rear end. I really appreciate their humor. That's written by Dr. Russ Daly. He's a veterinarian for South Dakota State University. And, okay, we do not only headlines, but we talk about education. If you're having a late lunch, this is your moment to put your sandwich down. If I'm going to talk about prolapses, there's two different types that can happen in a cow. When the cow is calving and she is pushing so hard after that calf goes out, she can literally force her womb out. So the uterus will go out underneath the tail.
Yikes.
Yeah, it's not pretty. Haley, you said you've come across that out in a pasture.
Yes, checking cattle with my uncle. We've seen a couple of those, and he's always like, well, looks like I'll be back here to help fix this problem.
Right.
So you got to put it back in because that's a source of infection. Because with that cow, there's a couple of things. Her uterus is out through her tail, underneath her tail.
Okay, how do you just put it back in?
Well, you got to make sure it's clean, right? You can't have straw, manure, other debris that's on it.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and these are huge. Like I've seen a uterus.
Surgically put back in?
Yes and no. Okay, so I've seen a uterus. We did it in college where it was like basically an autopsy on a cow, and that thing would cover most of our desk in front of us here. It's huge. Okay, because you got to hold an 80-pound calf in there, right? So now your job is to shove that uterus back into that cow, into place. How do you keep it from coming out? Get her up after a difficult birth, get her to walk to tighten up the muscles so that she doesn't force the womb back out. But you have to shove it in. Sometimes you have to literally put some stitches in there to keep it where it needs to be. Yeah. The look on Dean's face right now is rather priceless.
First off, how do you get the animal to stay still to shove the uterus back in? Sorry, I'm a city boy.
No. If you're lucky, she's close to a head gate.
Yeah, if you're lucky. That is correct. But calving on pasture makes the challenge a little bit more difficult. And maybe if you're even luckier, maybe she's laying down and just because she's in pain from it falling out. But yeah.
And if she is laying down, you have to get on that level because you can't just like be standing over her trying to shove that womb back in. So you will find yourself laying belly on the ground, forcing with everything you've got to put that back into that cow.
Whoa.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah. So that's one type of prolapse. Usually if that happens and you can be concerned about the fact that she may not be able to carry a calf again.
Yeah, absolutely. So bringing her back into your herd might not always be the best option after that uterine prolapse. We'll want to maybe call her from your herd or take a different option right there.
Yeah. And generally that involves a vet. You're going to need a veterinarian to come on out, make sure that, because it can happen where somebody's got to be holding that uterus in while somebody else is doing the stitching, right? So this is a 2-person job now.
Oof.
Now, additionally, she can push out where like the O-shaped muscle underneath her tail, she can literally push out and even go so far as to push her bladder out. That's smaller. So that's probably more like the size of about a basketball instead of I don't really know how to describe how big the uterus is when it comes out.
Yeah, I guess
It's
I
just
wouldn't
huge.
either, but it's
How
very
heavy?
large.
How heavy?
It's heavy. It's a huge muscle.
Like 50 pounds?
Oh, I would say with all that mass, it's
Right.
probably a good 40 pounds.
Yeah, I would say somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it holds a newborn calf,
yeah.
essentially, and then it just falls right out. So.
And with the uterine prolapse, there is a major blood vessel there. So if you don't catch it right away, that blood vessel, the longer her womb is out, that vessel can rupture. She can bleed to death.
Yeah, okay.
So with all of this this is all part of calving, and calving season's coming. So we see a lot of calving that happens in the month of March. We'll see a little bit that trails off into April and May. We see some fall calvers in October, but literally, even if you are from the city and you're driving past a pasture, like that doesn't look right. And that's what it might be.
Okay. All right.
So now you can go back to having your lunch. The educational portion of today is over.
Shoving a uterus back in.
Uh-huh.
And it's just, and no surgery needed? I mean, it's
There
just
could be some stitches, but
few. But
yeah.
Wow. That's,
Yeah. Generally speaking, a prolapsed cow doesn't stay in the herd long.
No.
Because you know that that's probably going to happen again. So, well, we didn't have any visuals to go along with that for our live stream from Lighthouse Commodities. Maybe that's best. But for those of you who are curious, you can follow what we're doing today, especially because our guests are going to be giving us a video tour of the Career Innovation Center out at Central Cass High School. You can follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and Acres TV, again, brought to us by Lighthouse Commodities. And for more questions, always give us a call, or even road reports, weather reports, and more on the JLA Insurance phone line, 701-293-9000. When we return, we're going back to school, and we're going to see what's happening there.
I just went to school. I learned a whole lot just now. We'll be right back.
We so very appreciate what listeners have to say. And after that discussion about the uterine prolapse that we just had with Dean and our assistant ag director, Haley McLeod, the comment I just got from a listener is putting the uterus back in would make a new category at a rodeo. The fastest, cleanest, and least amount of pain for the cow wins. But maybe it should be the demonstration before lunch.
That way.
That would be an interesting event to be watching.
You've seen the wild cow milking event?
Yes.
This is a whole new level. It would be wild, literally.
I would pay to see this.
Well, only one time. I will tell you that it is messy and bloody, and you don't know how to be there a lot.
Oh, man.
Okay, so we are joined by our guests today. They're joining us by video, so time to go pick up that live stream, which is brought to us by Lighthouse Commodities. We are joined by Hannah Gress. Hannah is the ag teacher out at Central Cass High School. We're going to tour the Career Innovation Center. We're probably going to hear from her FFA president, who you know.
Yes, her FFA president, Aislinn, and also their greenhouse manager, Hayden.
That's going to be a fantastic tour with them today. So, hello out there at Central Cass. How are you guys doing today?
Yeah, it's the two on the screen I need you to hear, and I know you can hear me.
We can. We can hear you. Do we need to?
Excellent.
So the two on the screen, we're looking forward to them giving us a big old shout out. So who are we listening to on the screen?
I'm Hannah Gress here, the agricultural education teacher and FFA advisor at Central Cass.
Okay.
And Morgan Fornes, superintendent, Central Cass.
Oh, we get the administration today too.
All
This
right.
is pretty exciting. Hannah, tell us a little bit about the Central Cass program. What are you covering in your Career Innovation Center?
Well, we are not at the Career Innovation Center, so I am here out at Central Cass. So we have our own programs here,
Okay.
Agricultural education courses that starts with 8th grade, and then they can take electives throughout the high school. So we have Intro to Ag, Foundations of Ag, and then we also this semester have our Animal Care Vet Science class, and our body classes are now transitioned into our SAE Greenhouse Management, and then we also offer some of our other courses throughout that they alternate throughout the year. So we have an ag business that's on an odd year, and we also have wildlife and natural resources as well.
So I'm going to go to Mr. Fornes, the superintendent. Question for you is, as you see what students are learning in these classes with Ms. Gress, how do you see that complementing the rest of their academics at the school?
You bet. Well, certainly in this day and age, there's many pathways of education, and the history of ag goes way, way back in North Dakota to bonanza farming and all of that. But the reality today is that students need to graduate with skills that are very, very different than what they were 100 years ago, even 20 years ago. So we look at this agricultural pathway. It's certainly a part of the roots of Central Cass and rural Cass County, but we look at it as a viable pathway for kids to enter into the workplace, whether it's ag science, whether it's ag business, or the traditional farmer. It's just a big part of all the opportunities that is a wide array of agricultural education in this day and age.
When we think about some of the supervised ag experience programs that students have, what are some of the things that your students are interested in right now, Hannah? What are they deciding to use as some of their various areas of entrepreneurship?
We've had quite a few over the 5 years that I've been here, ranging from anywhere from research, where we have students doing agricultural science research projects throughout that range from different categories, whether that be plant science, soil science, animal science too. And then we also go into a little bit more of an entrepreneurial route, where we have some kids who have their own businesses. We have a student who owns a lawn care business that he's had since 8th grade, and now he's a senior, and so he's hoping to apply for some proficiency awards in that area. We also have students that work for farmers and ranchers in their placement SAE, and we even have some school-based ones right now where we have our greenhouse currently, and we have students who are out there for SAE hours during the day, and they're managing our greenhouse, since currently we don't have our botany class that are out there throughout the day. So they operate that, and they take care of it over the weekends, over breaks and things like that as well.
So, Haley, as a student who's recently come out of a program down at Enderlin, what was your SAE program?
My SAE program was swine production. So I had shown swine over each summer. I showed my own pigs, and then I followed the production of one of my gilts into farrowing, and then I showed her offspring for years to come, and I'm still doing that, and I'm slowly growing my purebred Yorkshire herd.
So, Mr. Fornes is superintendent. It's not every school in North Dakota that has a ag program that brings students and all of these very hands-on skills to the focus. About 91 schools have FFA chapters and programs. So when you look at your program at Central Cass, do you ever worry about what if we don't have enough funding, or is the school support from the administration and the parents, you're there and this is a big part of what students do every day?
Well, I definitely think it's a big part of what is needed in North Dakota and nationwide every day. I think the biggest challenge is not only funding for the multiple pathways of education, but finding qualified teachers. We're very fortunate that we have a committed and dedicated ag instructor, but it's a shortage in North Dakota, and there's not enough ag instructors to go around for the demand, which is a big reason that we've joined the consortium, the Cass County Career and Technical Consortium. We do a lot of introductory classes here, and then we open up the pathway to the Career Innovation Center for some of our dual credit opportunities and the things that can take kids into a K-14 environment for what it means for careers after high school.
Well, two things for you. One, I am sitting next to a future student teacher slash college graduate who's going to be looking for a job. So one, feel free to keep her in mind. And then two, you mentioned this opens the pathway to students being able to go to the career innovation centers along the way. How do you manage that with students? How do you get kids from Castleton into some of those innovation centers during their school day? Do you run into problems with scheduling?
Yeah, I think if you were to talk to our principal, it's probably one of the biggest challenges. But you know, to operate in a silo in this day and age just doesn't work anymore. You have to share resources. So we hope that we can be a resource to other schools in Cass County. Hannah teaches some of our online ag courses for West Fargo and Fargo students. And likewise, we utilize some of the other programs that are in West Fargo and Fargo, such as diesel mechanics, welding, some of those kinds of things. So we share resources, we share teachers. We have a student teacher here that we're very fortunate to have that will also be probably looking for a job, and I think people are already calling her and asking her to give consideration. She'll go to the high bidder, I'm afraid.
All right. When we come back from the news, we get a chance to tour the site at Central Cass. We've got more questions. We're going to be joined by two students.
Yes, the FFA president, Aislinn, and the greenhouse manager, Hayden.
And so we have more questions to ask, as well as if you do, please call us at 701-293-9000. The JLA Insurance phone line will return. We are lighting up the listener comments here, Haley. Haley McLeod is our assistant ag director today. And we had a listener mention, I remember when you had that young lady on before last year. She was good last year and she's still doing a good job. And she will be a great ag teacher because she came from a farm. She knows what she's talking about.
Well, that's so nice of them. And yes, I was here last year in May or back in the spring. So yes.
Now, Haley, when you with your future plans of teaching, do you plan on still working at the farm too? Doing both?
We'll see exactly where I end up. I'm not too sure
Okay.
what my plans are. If
You'd like to stay local if you could do both, but
if I can do both, I would
Right.
love to stay local. Yes, I
Okay.
grew up on the farm. I skip daycare to go on the farm every day, so it's really a passion for me. Agriculture is one of my biggest things in my whole entire life,
Good.
and so staying back on the farm is definitely something I really want to do. But I'm open to any opportunities that are kind of thrown my way.
Well,
Cool.
Superintendent Forrest has said pretty much all the ag teachers are now going at the highest bidder because schools are looking for kids and
I
there's a
bet.
shortage. So,
Yep.
Yes,
Keep that in
ag
mind.
teachers are in high demand.
well, we are currently on our video to stream today at the Central Cass High School. And it looks like we just got to the greenhouse. So tell us what's going on, folks.
We're here at the greenhouse today, just kind of showing you what we've done here with this program.
All right. So is this Hayden, our greenhouse manager?
Hayden. Yep.
So, Hayden, how exactly did you get to be the guy in charge of the greenhouse for Central Cass?
I took a botany course here where we ended up being out here every single day, and I just kind of took initiative and being in charge of a lot of things, and I ended up getting this manager position.
So, what comes with being the manager in the greenhouse?
Essentially, everything here in the greenhouse, watering, repotting and stuff, and just harvesting and making sure everything's has the nutrition levels that it needs and make sure it's growing good.
What might be growing in the greenhouse this time of year? What kind of projects do you have coming up?
Right now, our biggest project is our lunch. We provide food for the lunch program. So we provide tomatoes, radishes, and lettuce are our big three, as well as some green beans and some basil. Right here is our tomato plants, and we got some radishes right here.
So, you said tomatoes. I see some basil, as you mentioned. Will the pace of what's in the greenhouse pick up as we get closer to spring? Are you looking at flowers for out in the school or more vegetables for the summer, anything like that?
Yeah. As the year picks up, all of our stuff will start to produce a little bit more. And then right now, we're starting to propagate flowers for our spring sale, our spring plant sale. So that'll help raise money for the greenhouse here.
When does the spring plant sale start? Because let's face it, you've got people who are listening and might even be getting a little cabin fever, wanting to think ahead. Oh,
I think we lost.
yep, Hayden's audio cut out there.
Okay,
so
there we go.
We need,
It's taking place the third week of March, Wednesday. I don't know the date, but it's that Wednesday.
third week of March happens to be
During
National.
parent-teacher conferences, which will start around from 4 to 8.
That sounds perfect because the third week of March happens to be National Egg Week. So what a great time to be kicking it off.
Yeah, absolutely. And I see that we're now joined with Central Cass FFA President Aislinn. Aislinn, do you serve a role in the greenhouse?
Sorry, we froze there a second, Bridgette.
That's okay. I will have Haley go ahead and ask her question again.
I see that we're joined with FFA President Aislinn. Aislinn, do you serve a role in the greenhouse?
Yeah, no, so this, as of right now, I do not currently, but this summer I took over the greenhouse manager position over the summer. And I was in here making sure that all plants were watered and taken care of throughout that summer break.
Awesome. That sounds like so much fun. And why did you want to be the president?
Yeah, when I want to become president came from just my time within being in the organization of FFA and getting to meet the new people. As I became more involved, I knew I wanted to have a leadership position within the chapter, just to be able to get more involved behind the scenes, getting to be able to help plan meetings, help plan different events for our chapter, as well as be that person that those kids get to look up to within the chapter. And I knew I could achieve that by being chapter president and being able to be the role model for the younger members of our chapter.
Awesome. And National FFA Week is coming up. It's next week. What are you guys' plans for National FFA Week?
Yes, so this is one of our chapter's biggest weeks, and we are so very excited for this. To start off the week, we start on Saturday. We're going to the Wyoming CDE contest. We have a couple little surprises planned for some advisors and students that will be there. And then we move on Monday. And then on Monday, we start with our student ice cream social, which is open to all of our FFA members. On Tuesday, we have our chapter FFA meeting that night where we're going to just play some fun games, hang out, and just enjoy the whole community of our chapter. Wednesday, we have the Fargo Living Egg Day, which is our first year getting to be able to participate in this event where we get to go teach agriculturists at the Red River Valley Fairgrounds about different agricultural topics. And then Thursday, we get to have our teacher dessert social to say thank you to any of the school staff / teachers that really support our FFA chapter throughout the year. And then we wrap up our week on Friday with our elementary outreach, where we get to go talk to pre-K through second graders about this year our topic is honey and beekeeping within North Dakota and its importance. So that's what we have planned for this upcoming week.
Well, that sounds like a very busy week, but I think that's what National FFA Week is all about, spreading agriculture to all the youth. And I think Central Cass is doing a great doing it very well.
You know, as a reminder to alumni for National FFA Week, first of all, it is when you retire from FFA at age 21, you are asked not to wear your jacket anymore out of respect, right? We don't just parade them around for any old reason. Some of us still slide our jackets on now and then for special events during FFA Week. But if you were working in an office, put it on the back of your office chair, hang it in your vehicle, because it's a great reminder to show other people that you still support the Blue Jackets and their bright futures that go right along with them. And I think that's just a quick reminder to the alumni. I do want to share just one story. FFA Week's been around for a long time. It's always been right around President's Day because George Washington is recognized as part of our opening ceremonies. He was as a treasurer. He's recognized in the treasurer's position, right? Because he was so trustworthy. Also during FFA Week with George Washington, people think about cherry pie. He chopped down the cherry tree. So I heard Aislinn mention the ice cream social. My chapter used to do a pie social. We invited everybody in from the community for pie and ice cream. But the guys, and I say the guys, really liked their pie, and they would hide them in the shop. Like, we had little lockers for tools. So when it got to be May and we had to clean the shop out before the end of the school year, we would find petrified pies that somebody forgot that they had their
my
pie,
goodness.
and we would find it. So we then went from being ag to a science experiment is really what happened.
Yeah, I can imagine pie from the last week of February to the end of school might not be the best thing to be finding then.
This might not be great. So, Hayden, besides being greenhouse manager, are you participating in some of the CDEs, the contests, or the leadership skill development that goes along with FFA? Yeah. Hold on, Hayden. We must have had a fan kick in, and it is just blowing you out. We can't hear you right now, so we may have to hold off on that question until your fan is done blowing.
Yep. Sorry about that. We had a skid steer come by cleaning sidewalks.
I love when so live radio is like the car door slammed, the dog barked, and the skid steer just went by. So, okay, Hayden, try again. Tell us what you do in FFA besides the greenhouse management.
I participate in the agronomy CD for development event, and weekend we went to Little Eye and Kindred, and I take care of that.
Okay, so we heard Hayden talk about he's in the agronomy contest. He was judging at Little Eye. There's a lot of things that Hayden's got going on. Aislinn, how about you? You've got some activities, some contests as well that you're participating in. They may have froze up on us.
Yeah, we did freeze up on you. I think we've got the skid steer passed and we're unfrozen. So you can ask the question again. Try one more time.
All right, Aislinn, tell us what the things that you're doing as far as contests are concerned through FFA.
Yeah, so right now I'm participating in our agricultural sales CDE event, and I was at the Little Life contest, and I was able to take 4th overall at this contest. And yeah, throughout the year I participate in agri-science fair, elementary, and floriculture.
We appreciate the tour today that was given to us at Central Cass. They tie into the Career Innovation Center here in for Fargo Public Schools. Aislinn is their FFA chapter president. Hayden is their greenhouse manager. They are both students at Central Cass. And we were joined by Hannah Gruss, who is their ag education instructor, as well as Mr. Fornes, who is their superintendent. And a huge thank you to all of them, and especially for the work that they do to provide students with a lot of background in more of a technical area. It's been great to visit with them. All right. We are probably going to need to come back and talk about this messy weather situation, Dean.
We'll talk about the weather. What's around the corner? Are there any more storms on the horizon? That, and I believe Bridgette has some more ag topics. All that when we come back. And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. 1:49 in the afternoon, and we got temperatures outside in the teens across much of the area after a fresh snowpack. We still have a few flurries and light snow showers throughout the area, and any additional accumulation, though, should be on the minimal side, so that's good news there. But there's still a lot of icy roadways out there, so please kind of take it easy out there. We do have a band of slightly, light to moderate snow just west of the valley, stretching from, let's say about Valley City northwestward up towards just east of Devil's Lake. So a few moderate snow bands in there, but most of this is light. And again, could pick up to a half-inch additional accumulation through the afternoon. But other than that, we're just looking at cold, breezy conditions, a little blowing snow in open country. And then temperatures tonight falling off to about 10 above with, again, still a few flurries, light snow showers. And those flurries should come to an end on Friday with temperatures, again, in the teens. And we'll stay in the teens through the weekend. So cold weekend with nighttime lows 0 to 5 below. And then next week, we'll be in the 20s, it looks like, for much of next week. Might even squeeze in a 30 or two. A little system coming in here Tuesday with a little light snow. And then as we head towards the end of next week, we're getting some signs. Our models are kind of a little bit at odds. Do we see a stronger system coming in here towards the end of next week and into that weekend? A lot of question marks on that, but that's something we're keeping an eye on. I believe the LRC did have something pegged for the first few days of March.
Yeah,
so
like the first 3, I think.
Yeah, so we'll be keeping it might be that system coming in at the end of the month, a day early. So because this last system that just hit here came in about a day and a half early. So and again, that LRC cycle is centered on 73, 74 days, but it's been fluctuating between 72 and 78, I believe. So give or take a day towards the end of the month or those first few days in March, we could have a more significant system.
Well, as far as travel is concerned, everybody's got ice today, except if you wanted to go from like Mandan to the state line of Montana. Everything else looks like it's all under ice on the North Dakota Road Report. Maybe it's getting better, but it's going to take a while.
It's going to, yeah. We need that sun to come out, and we're not going to see any of that here until the weekend.
That is less than helpful.
Yes,
today.
No doubt.
But things that are helpful can be AI. Okay, and again, we're in ag, so now we have to explain which AI are we talking about? Artificial insemination? Are we talking about active ingredients? No. Today we're going to talk about artificial intelligence. So Haley and I both read an article about using AI to study heart disease in cattle. Want to summarize that just a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So there was a student at the University of Wyoming who is a doctorate student there, and he's doing some research currently on how to use artificial intelligence to study risk factors for heart disease in cattle. So he's using AI to look at the different images of heart disease, and he's looked at over 7,000 images by hand to set a scale for AI, which I thought was insane. When I read that, I thought I read it wrong.
That's a terrible graduate program, a graduate student project.
Yeah, absolutely. But then he noted that AI is now scoring 92% of the images accurate. So it's assigning the correct scoring scale of whether they have a high risk for heart disease or low risk for heart disease. After 7,000 images, it's finally starting to understand what heart disease looks like in cattle. And I really think that this is such a cool study. Artificial intelligence is maybe not always shown in the best light, but here's something that can make us more efficient out in the field or even in the processing plants. It's giving us a new idea of what to look for and things to do.
I like how this ties together because not very long ago we had a listener say, can cows have high cholesterol? And how would you check their blood pressure? Right? That's quite the cuff if you got to put on them.
Yeah.
But this graduate student, his name is Chase Markell, and he was looking at congestive heart failure because that's a condition that's linked to pulmonary hypertension and is actually a growing issue in beef cattle. As you're finishing them. Finishing means we're at the end of the process, we're building weight on them, we're getting them ready to go in for processing into, literally boxed beef. So he said there's really no good solution. So what they are looking at is the size and the shape of the cow's right ventricle. That's a telltale indicator of pulmonary hypertension and the risk of congestive heart failure. So as that disease causes the pressure in the ventricle, that muscle becomes increasingly thick and misshapen. And this means that the cow's heart is working so much harder, it's not putting all the energy into building weight, which they need for processing.
Would that affect the beef taste of it?
Likely not.
No?
Nope. I don't think they get super stressed out, but I think that they probably have a shorter lifespan, and they would more than likely, they may be susceptible to other disease as well, right?
Yeah,
you think
absolutely.
about overall health of that animal.
If their heart's working overtime, it's gonna make them a little bit weaker and not be able to fight off all the diseases that they could have.
We were talking just a couple weeks ago in regards to cows seem pretty laid back. In fact, I remember this discussion with some listeners as well saying, well, what do you mean cows get worked up? Cows don't get worked up. Like, you can tell that their stress level is high, like they're just kind of standing around and shaking usually, but they will let you know when there's something in their environment that they don't like.
Absolutely, they will.
So you've been chased too?
Yes,
okay.
Numerous times.
It doesn't seem like it, but you have a 1,500-pound cow chasing you down. You better
have your running shoes on.
Yeah, you can be an Olympic sprinter in pretty short time. Yeah. I will tell you that dairy cows in particular, and bulls, the rule on the farm was always you were always very cautious about around a Holstein in particular. They have a bad attitude.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So some of the things that we haven't been able to necessarily get to earlier in the week, there's a few things that are happening agronomy-wise. So we talked about the twine. That was certainly one of them. But there are some other things that are going on. First of all, soybeans. Soybeans are really built as an adaptable plant. They can overcome a lot. But there are some takeaways when it comes to what we're hearing about planting and replanting recommendations going into the year. So we often hear that the right soil temperature for soybeans is 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, that's fair, right? That means we're on track. But soybeans can actually germinate at temperatures as low as 36 to 43 degrees. Okay, now we have to think about the soil temp. But if you have wet soils, you have to think about the water temperature in the soil. Okay, because a soybean seed has to absorb or imbibe 50% of its own dry weight in moisture for the germination to start. If it is cold water, the seed can actually be injured, and that results in damaging cell membranes, reduced germination, and weak seedlings. So this is where the weather guy comes in. If you're expecting a cold front with rain headed your way and likely to occur in the next 12 to 24 hours, hold off on planting, even if your soil temperatures look like they would be right.
Okay.
So they're a little sensitive.
Yeah, I guess I didn't know that. I learned something new today, but that makes sense that the cold water would shock them too.
Yeah.
Not just the cold soil, but the cold water as well would also make them a little bit weaker.
Because you get that crack in the seed coat, the hull.
Yep.
And then, it's like if you take a big slug of water that was pretty cold and icy, that's a shock to your system. Mm-hmm. It's really the similar situation for the soybean plant. When you are looking at planting depths and so forth, you also want good seed to soil contact, because that's how they get their moisture, right? If you have a air pocket around the seed, it's going to take longer for the moisture to get to the soybean seed so that it will absorb enough moisture to crack the hull and germinate, or the seed coat, I should say. So really, you have to have that good contact. That's why planters these days are so high tech. We were talking about corn earlier.
Yes, we were. Yeah.
So and you said this one kind of blew your mind.
Yeah, I was really shocked by this new innovation and this new ag technology that you were mentioning about how they're going to place the seed kernel exactly correct so that we get a better germination in a faster growing corn.
So particularly a corn planter, you have plates, and they spin that corn kernel around so you have singulation, so the kernels are dropped uniformly. Now you can be so specific as, do you want the kernels facing up or down for faster germination?
See, we learned something new today. You could push a uterus back in a cow and germination for soybeans. All right. Well, that'll do it for today's Weather and Ag in Focus. Don't go anywhere. The Jay Thomas Show is coming up next.